upload the file. Number 4, check. Document checking completed, no error or warning to be seen, guys. So you made it. We made it, guys. So congratulations. On this note, the Worldwide Consortium welcomes you in the midst of all the HTML developers in the world. Thank you so much. All right, welcome to day 6 on Lance Code and Create. So today we decided to rest and just focus on solving the problems or the assignments we have since day 2. So basically, if we look at the course, I think we had up to 5 lessons, and the first lesson did not have an assignment. So lesson day 2, day 3, day 4, and 5 have assignments along. So the goal for me to have this video today is to take you through these assignments while you are having your rest. I know you guys went through these assignments, you've done well, but I want to use this day and then also go through it. One, to actually show you my mental model, how I go about solving these problems and how I go about structuring my code and so on. And probably through that, I'll also share some tips with you guys so that you understand how some of the things are done. So we are going to start from the assignment in day 2. So I'm going to read it and kind of take my own assignment and see. It kind of feels weird, but it's interesting. So let me try that. So day 2, we go to the end of the lesson and look around here. So here it is. So assignment 2. So when you were taking this lesson, the assignment was just named assignment. So I updated it and made it 2 so that the number will match the lesson number actually. So, and the assignment says in your Lance course folder, create an HTML document and name it letter.html. Open the index.html. So I think this is a bit weird, but this is supposed to be open the letter.html file. So this is a mistake that has to be fixed. And I'm surprised nobody actually prompted me about this mistake. I guess you guys understood the mistake and then just went by. So, but that's still a great stuff, you know. That's still great stuff. So, and I'll fix that. So we open the letter.html file with our favorite text editor and then structure the HTML code to get the result as shown in the image below. So here too, the reason why I use an image is that I actually wanted you to type a lot, and the goal was because we are starting, most of us, most of you did not have good skills in kind of using their computers. So I wanted these people to have the chance to train themselves on using their equipment. So that's cool. So I made it an image so that you don't get a chance to copy the text. So, but in my case right now, I have the text written, so I'm not going to type. And also to gain time, I think I have to just copy and paste. So let's go on. I'm going to have my Lance course folder. So I'll go to my documents. So in my document, I think I had a folder called Lance course already, but nonetheless, I'm going inside that folder. So go to documents, then we look for the folder Lance course. So it should be somewhere here. Yeah. So inside that folder, I'm going to go to I'm going to create a folder called day 2 because I'm already in that folder, and the idea of you creating a folder called Lance course is just to take you through the process of creating the folder. So I'm going to do the same thing here, but for day 2. So here you can see that we don't have day 2, so I'm going to do that. So to create a folder, I just have to click either on this menu here. I'm on Windows 11, or you can right click on any of the empty spaces here. You do new and you do folder. So in my case, I'm going to name it day 2. And once I name it day 2, I can just go in by double clicking on the name of the folder. Now it is required to us to create a file called letter.html, which is here. So I'll copy this same name to avoid making any mistake. So then I'll do the same right click on any empty space and do new. Now choose text document. So we already went through the process of showing the extensions of our files. So that's why Windows is showing the extension of our file, which is .txt. So I'm going to do Control A to highlight both the name and the extension. And then I'll just do Control V to paste the name I just copied from the assignment. So by doing that, I can now enter, and then Windows will prompt me, do you actually want to change this file name? Yes, I'm good with that. So now it shows that yes, my browser is considering it as a web page. So and the assignment says right. So open the file with your favorite text editor, and then yes, enter the HTML code that is required in order to reproduce this same example. So for this assignment, for this assignment 2, I'm going to use Notepad, just like you guys did, so that we'll write the code raw. So I'm going to do open with, and then I'll choose Notepad. So here I am. I have a plain HTML document. There's nothing inside, so I have to type everything from the beginning to the end. So I will start from entering the basic skeleton for an HTML document, which is to start with the doc type. So doc type HTML. So this will declare the document as an HTML document and specifically tell the browser that we are targeting HTML version 5. So that's the way of telling the browser for the version 5. For earlier versions, this declaration was too long and complicated. And to be sincere, since 2002, I've been coding HTML. I've never been able to memorize that declaration. It was always a copy and paste. So and that's it. So I guess this one was a saver. So here we go. After the doc type, we are going to bring the parent tag of the whole document, which is the HTML tag itself. And then I'll close it at the end to make sure I don't forget. Then I'll go back. And then in the HTML tag, I will now insert my head tag. The head tag will help me to contain the title tag. And the title, it will be assignment 2. So I'll close the title here. Then I can go ahead and close the head. So once the head closed, I can move on now and insert the body. And the body area is where we are going to insert all our content. So body and close. So this gives me the basic structure of my HTML document, and that's it. So everything we have to do now will happen between this body tag, the opening tag, and the closing tag. So here we are. And once that's done, you can just press Ctrl S to save, or I could just do file save, and that's cool. That's cool. So once that's done, I can now start following the instructions and do whatever we want to achieve. So here, when I look at the letter, I can see that there's a title here, a heading, I would say, which is my letter website. So basically, this is the caption for the website itself, and there is a horizontal line right under it before the letter itself starts. So for this heading, I could use the h1 tag to do that, and we type my letter website. So my letter website, I think there's capital W here, and then I'll close the heading one. And once that's done, I can move on to the next part, which is to insert the horizontal line, and we use HR to do that. HR. And once the HR done, I can think about the letter. So the first thing is the date, September 8th, and so. And looking at these two things, it doesn't look like the line was breaking between the two lines. It seems to me like the spacing is a lot. So that could be a paragraph. So like some 2 paragraphs were used there. So what I'm trying to say is, if we assume, I'll go ahead and write date. So date colon and then September 8th 2024, and then I decide to do like BR, which is go to the next line and then write again dear Zubuli. So dear Zubuli, comma. So if I do that and then try to preview the document, you see that the spacing won't be enough, just like we are seeing it here. So if I go back and do Control S and go to the document, double click on the file to open it with the text editor, you can see the spacing is not that much compared to what we see. So I'll also zoom this one. So to solve that, I think we would rather use a paragraph around each one of these lines like this. And then I'll also close the paragraph here. So paragraph. Then we check this. We add this paragraph here as well. And then we close the paragraph here. So once that's done, if I preview now, I should get the similar spacing as in the assignment. So here, so we get the similar spacing. So we can move on again. If we look at this invitation, and that also looks like a heading tag. So we go ahead. So let me try with heading 1. So H1, and then I'll be invitation letter, right? So I'll close the heading 1. And it seems that not only it is a heading, but it also has an underlining. So it means I have to use the U tag inside. So also some of you were concerned about the spacing. They wanted to get the they are afraid of maybe moving some space or moving some space like this. And no, it doesn't really matter. In HTML always considers one space. So even if I push this as far as 1 meter or 10 meters, it's still like one space for HTML. So don't be afraid of using the spaces. And in this case right now, you can see that I'm indenting the text. So I'm kind of shifting the text left and right and just creating these separations. It doesn't really matter. It's just for my beauty. It's not necessary that you have to write the same thing in this same order, right? So you, in this case, for example, you can decide to break the text like this to go to the next line and then bring the heading 1 and it will look like 2 brackets. You can decide to keep it in the same level or push it. It's still the same thing. So do not be afraid of the spaces. All right, so once we have the invitation letter inserted, we can also preview again to see what we have. So yes, we have it inserted. That's looking good. So next part is what? So we check it and it says, okay, I hope this letter finds you. Okay, I think this is the moment I have to copy some text. So I hope this letter and so, and here we are. And obviously this is a paragraph here. So because of the text size and so it was great that we use a paragraph. So I'll go back to my source code, which I accidentally just closed. So I'll go back to the folder, do right click, open with Notepad. So yes, and then after the heading 1, I'm going to insert a paragraph. And you see, one of the issues in using Notepad is indenting the text is a bit difficult. So then I'll paste the text inside. So that is not looking great, but I think we are good. This is making it difficult to manage. Okay. Okay, I'll keep it. I think I would rather, yes, do this. Keep the paragraph there. Oh God, Notepad. All right, so you understand, you get the point. So we keep the paragraph there, and the next one is the event will feature. So the event will feature. So we pick the text. The event will feature, then the keynote, and so. So I'll also use another paragraph for that paragraph, and then paste. I think it's better I stop indenting. Let me remove the indentation. Oh, that's not removing easily. So that's not removing. I think I have to do it one by one. So I want to align everything at the left side. so that I don't have to suffer from the spacing issue with Notepad. So I'll cancel all. Just manage the vertical spaces. So cancel this. Let me even take this to the next line. Yes. Then this will be on the same line. Good. So the paragraph, yeah, this paragraph should close somewhere. So I'll push this guy. Yes. So this paragraph, because I want it to contain not only this text, but it should also contain the list that is below. And that's an interesting thing. Because of the nature of this information here, it looks like this, the event will feature, and then these list elements are all related, so they should be in the same paragraph. Or if you had to use a section tag also, or a div tag, it should contain the two elements at the same time. So in my case, I use a paragraph, and therefore the list will also be in the paragraph. And based on the list type here, we are seeing that we have dots, bullets. So this is a noded list, so we use UL and do that. Now we insert. I said I want to use this indentation, so I'll use LI for the first element, and I'll close the LI. So I will kind of do 3 times, and then go and pick the text and fill it in. Good. So I'll pick the text from Notepad. So the first one is keynote speech. Good. I'll paste it here. The second one is networking opportunity, and so this seems to have more than what we have over there. So then the third one is workshops, and so okay, here we go. So this shouldn't go to the next one. Good. So I have the 3 elements. Let me look at the assignment again. We would be on it. Okay, this text I think was just shifted here. So here. So this one too is obviously another paragraph that follows. So we go ahead, we add the paragraph right after this paragraph. So that will be P. Is the text, close the P. And then after that we have another paragraph. So although it looks like just one line, but it is obviously a paragraph. So we do P again, and then I close the P. I'll go and pick the text, which is this, and paste it. So once I have that, the next one too, although looks like one line or one short text, but still we put it in a paragraph. Actually, the fact that I'm using paragraph is actually to help me, or to help me avoid using BRs, because the use of BRs can be very cumbersome and very difficult to maintain. So if we can avoid it as much as possible, we would do that. So here we go. So I can see my letter popping up very well. So up to here, sincerely, we are good to go. And if we look at the question again, here we have John Doe who sent the letter, and then event coordinator at the ABC company. So for that, let me see. I could use another paragraph, group the 3 elements inside, then break them using the BRs. So that would do as well. So we'll go ahead, we insert a paragraph, and then we'll write now John Doe. And John Doe, I can see John Doe is in bold, and we also have some other portions of the previous text that have this formatting that we'll go back on. But for now, let me just focus on the content. So John Doe, and then I'll break it to the next line and add that is the event coordinator, and then at ABC company we go to the next line again with DR, and then we say ABC company. So ABC company, and then this actually ends the paragraph, because if I have to use BRs to bring the ABC company and so on, that would be a lot of BR. I would have to use 2 BRs after that. So it's best I use another paragraph. So I guess after this assignment, one should be really acquainted with paragraphs and understand their game. So we have ABC company, ABC company, vertical line, 1, 2, 3, business street, business road, yes, vertical line, then business city, and PC, and so VC 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, something like that. Just write it that way. Yes, that is it. So we have our content inserted. If you are going to preview our document, we should have every element now on the left. So all the elements are there. So we can go ahead and look at these little details that are there and to kind of trick us. So the first one we look at is the boldness of the date here, which is in the first paragraph after the letter title. So we'll go in, that's this paragraph. So this date here on October 15th, so it's bold. So to make it bold, and we have two questions here we have to ask ourselves. This boldness of the text, is it just aesthetic boldness or just an emphasis? So to me, this looks like an emphasis because this is the first part of the letter, and they are telling the person that when the event will happen, it is very important. So there is an emphasis on the particular date. So instead of us to use simply the B tag to mark it as bold, I think it would be best that we go with the strong tag to emphasize the strength of that particular date. So we can go ahead and close the strong tag. Sorry, close strong, and that should do. So let me preview again. So I'll go to my code, and that makes it really interesting. So the next thing we'll look at is the date again, which is another date here somewhere, which is October 1st. And the same goes on there, because imagine we are even having these various dates on the letter. So it is very important to really make it obvious and strong enough for the person's attention to be called on it. So I'll still use the strong tag here. And then the next thing is the sincerely is kind of italic. So yes, honestly, I don't see any emphasis in this sincerely. There's nothing there, so we can just go and go ahead and use I instead of em. So we are good to go. So we close the I, and that is it. So by doing that, we should be done with this assignment. So that is it. I think there's John Doe too, that is bold. Let me look at it. Yes, John Doe is bold. So John Doe, there's no particular emphasis in the name. It's just aesthetic. I think the guy just wanted to look important. That's why he made his name bold. So good. Here we are. Assignment 1 successfully done. So one thing I would like you to look at or to pay attention to here, when you look at this letter, the text looks really shrinked kind of in terms of weight. So somebody actually even brought out this problem by saying, okay, here when I was typing, I noticed that the text was scattered around the page and so on. Meanwhile, when I was looking at the assignment, the text was kind of shrinked and well aligned. So what I did is after the assignment, I just did this. Let me show you the trick I did. I did it this way. So, and you get this kind of formatting because we don't have what we call containers to kind of contain the text and then kind of define the weight. So definitely, and at your end, it will just look scattered and the document will be that way. So I hope you enjoyed the assignment, and I hope you did it well too. So if you did well, congratulations. That was a very great step. So our next assignment is going to be for day 3. So let's look at the day 3's lesson. So the third lesson is on HTML multimedia and embedded content. So this is an important part, and I really love this lesson. One, because it is an important lesson because it actually helps everybody uh, in any professional world. Like it's almost impossible to have a website or a web application built today or a mobile app built without multimedia. In fact, the whole thing actually even uh, is surrounded or is around multimedia, and the social media and all other stuff. It's multimedia. So I feel like this lesson is key. And the next thing that is important and interesting to me on this lesson is because it doesn't seem complicated. Although this stuff are some of the hardest things to manage on applications, but the way the lesson is structured is to make it easy for you to learn these things. So the assignment says that we should create a personal multimedia gallery page showcasing your favorite media content. A requirement: image section. So include at least 2 images of your choice. Use appropriate alternative text and set appropriate width and height to make them proportional. That's quite simple. And the audio section, we should now embed an audio file with controls, include a title and description. So this makes sense too. So the video section, we embed a video file, control, brief description of the video, and then that's cool. And then an iframe section, embed an iframe that displays a website of your choice. Ensure it fits well within the page. Share a screenshot of your result. So that's also cool. So let's go ahead. I'm going to my folders again. So for this one, I won't use Sublime Text. I won't use Notepad. I will use Sublime Text for that because I want the code to look clean. So here we'll go to day 3, and I already have some media here which I'm going to use. I have only one picture, so I'll probably use the same picture twice because they say we should insert uh, two pictures. So I'm going to create a new file inside this folder which I will name. So they didn't give us a particular name to use, so I'll probably name it assignment 3 assignment 3.html. Yes, so I'm going to open it with Sublime Text rather, so that it can go faster. So you've seen me typing already using Notepad, so now it is time for me to use something far away. So use just once. So once we have that open, let me close this guy so that you don't get distracted by these terms. So I'm going to insert the basic HTML structure, and then I'll zoom the code so that you can see it well. And the title is going to be what? Let's see. So personal multimedia gallery page. So let me just name it this. So I'll term it personal multimedia gallery. And then even inside here, I'll start with a heading 1 to bring in the same title, so that when people open the page, they will see this kind of title. And I'll probably insert a horizontal line as well to separate the title with the content. So the first section says we should insert 2 images. So to insert the images, we learned that we use the img tag, and the img tag requires to have the src attribute, and the src attribute helps us to indicate the file we are trying to insert as an image. And in my case, and if I look at my folder, let me change my view into something extra large. I have this picture here I want to use, which is called sandals.jpg. So it is important to have the sandals.jpg with the extension added to consider the image. So if I do that and then come and preview the document, I should see the image inserted. Now let me use this opportunity to let you see something. Let's assume in general, when you are building more complex websites, you wouldn't want to mix up your images or what we call assets, which includes audio, video, and so with your HTML documents or whatever extensions you are using for your source codes. You wouldn't want to mix them. You will probably create a folder. Let's say you name it assets. And then once you name the folder assets, inside that folder, you might have some subfolders. So one folder for images, and it will be images. And then another folder for, let's say, videos and so on. So you get the idea. So it will be videos. So some will be maybe fonts and so on. So you might have this kind of stuff. And then we'll move this image inside. So I will cut it, move it inside the images folder right here. So by doing that, we see now that the image we inserted right in our source code here is no longer at the same level as the assignment trace.html file. What I mean is that to be in the same level means to be in the same folder right here. So the image doesn't exist here anymore. So how do we get it? If I preview the code, the page, you can see that nothing happens. It tells us now the file is not found. And in fact, it's because of these particular cases that the assignment says use appropriate alt text and set appropriate width and height. So the alt text here is to let us know in case this happens, what should the user see. So we'll add the alt attribute and will be like sandals on landscapes, right? So if I now refresh the preview, I should rather see sandals on landscapes because the image is absent. So going back to the image matter, how do we do that? So this is what we call relative and absolute paths. So we were using a relative path which shows like relatively to the file that is actually accessing the image. So the document, the HTML document that is accessing the image, they are all relatively at the same place. But absolute path means then we have to absolutely find out where exactly the file is located. And in our case, it is located in a folder called assets. And then under that folder, we have another folder called images. So that's the absolute path to that image. And if I refresh, I should get the image back. So this will happen often as you are working on serious websites or even something you do for fun. So you have to know that the image or the assets you are inserting don't always have to be at the same level as your source code, and you have to find the exact path that takes to the asset you are looking for. So I'll keep this so that it serves as a lesson. And then the next thing we have, we should insert a second image. So obviously in my case, I'll use the same thing. And they say we should set the appropriate width and height to fix that. So I'll do, so I'll set the width to be 200 pixels. So I want the images to look small. Good. So since they are all the same, I'll keep the same width. Now in this case, I'm just setting the width. I will not set the height simply because I don't want to. Okay, if I would set the height, I will just keep it squared. So that will be the same 200. Because by setting the width at 200, the browser automatically adjusts the height proportionally to make it look okay. Otherwise, if I had to set a different height, for example, it might distort the image. So you see, even if I made the height to be smaller than the width, it will still distort the image horizontally. So the same issue causes. So it's best to keep it proportional. So that's cool. So I have my first section done, which is the insertion of the images. So the next section, I will also insert another HR here to kind of separate the areas. So the next section, the assignment says we should insert what? An audio file and then include the title, so on. So the audio file, to insert them, we use the audio tag. And then inside here, we can insert a paragraph to say, your browser does not support this feature. So in case the person does not have a support for the audio, which is HTML5, so they will see this message. So in our case, we don't really want to bother much about that. So the next thing we want to do is we'll set a title because they ask us to set a title. So it will be my best song. and so. And then we'll also have to set the SRC, which is the source, and this same rule applies as we saw with the image. So since I didn't create any subfolder for the audio and the audio is relatively positioned as the assignment file, so they are in the same location, so I can just pick the file name and link it here, and that is it. So if I now try to display a preview, I shouldn't see anything happen because yes, remember I said that the browser wouldn't bring anything because there's no controls. And if we ask the browser to give us the controls, then the browser will kind of build that interface to help us have the control. Then we can play the song a little bit. So I'm having earpiece. Sorry for the guys. So I'm having some earpiece here. So if I remove it, so you should be able to hear the song play. But pause to stop and then play. It plays. So this sound from YouTube. So I hope we don't have copyright issues. Okay. So I can pause the sound and I'm good with that. So that's quite all we need. So then we'll go with the video. We'll do HR again to separate. So let me even create these separations like this. So add the space. So now to insert the video, we do the same game as the video. So we just copy this audio, we do video instead of audio, we do video, we insert the video. So for the video, I think I have a file called intro, which is Lance course intro. So I'll place it here. And this file too, the video is relatively positioned with the my best intro with the source code file, so they are all fine. I can just point out like that, and that's it. So we get a video. So, and I think the assignment also requires us to adjust the width and so on. So depending on how you did yours, if they are not nicely aligned, try to adjust the width. So I can go ahead and do. And videos are very good in adjusting the width. If you adjust the width, it will automatically adjust the height. Yes, because proportionality is very important in videos. So we'll go ahead. Yes, so it aligns a bit like with the, and look at that. This is actually 400 pixels for the video, and you can see it aligns with my two images above, because remember the two images are having each 200 pixels width. So sum it, you get 400, and that's a good calculation. So the browser is very smart. Yes, there might be some slight difference there that we might not notice with the naked eye, but for people who have very good design eye, they could see there's some small distance because of the separation we have here. Nonetheless, that was just a bracket on that. So this should take us now to the next area, which says we should bring a knife frame. So we should use a knife frame and then display our favorite website on it and so. For the iframe as well, we go ahead, we do HR. So iframe, we use the iframe tag, and then the source, what do we want to bring in? So my favorite website right now, let me see, HTTPS. I have this website I've been trying to finish, but I couldn't finish it, php7app.php. So let me see if I can bring that in. Oh, sorry, my preview is here, my bad. Okay, so I'm having an issue. Server IP address could not be found. Okay, I surely have an issue. So let me try another one. Yahoo.com. Oh my gosh, sorry, it's .com. Ooh, of course, you are right, browser. Okay, let's see what happens. So it's kind of thinking. So it's taking some time to load the site. I'm expecting it here. So okay, server IP address could not be found. So there's also something headers can be set on a website. I don't want to dig that much, but headers can be set on a website to actually prevent it from being embedded. So probably, let me see if I don't have, I don't get any copyright issues with if I open Twitter. So let me see if I can pick any. Okay, what I'm going to do to make it easy is that I'll also create another file myself. So here, and I'll do new, and I'll do text, and then I'll say external site.html. So that's what I will use. So this external site.html, I will open it with my text editor and enter any sample text inside. So that's what I will do, and then we'll embed that, because the most important thing is here is to also to just learn how to use this tag. And so the deep aspect of it, and so I think as time goes you learn external site. So some heading like this, age group. It is advised that we avoid this tag because I think it is getting deprecated. So this is an external site. So P, some lorem ipsum text, and that's it. So I'll go back to my iframe and then do that here, and that's it. So great. So the external site is loaded, so I could probably adjust the weight too and set it to 400 weight, 400 pixels, and the height I will also keep it, let's say 800 pixels, because this is a website and the content might be very tall. So that's it. So here we are. So this is the end of assignment 2, and I hope you were able to get something cool just like mine. If not, you can request for the source code, and here we are. So the video I didn't try to play, that plays very well too. So great. All right, so let's move to the next assignment, which is the assignment 3 assignment 4. So we just finished assignment 3. So we go for assignment 4, which is the form and form controls. So this is a bit tough, and it's also an important lesson. Just like I said with the multimedia, forms are kind of unavoidable. They are like stubborn stuff in the whole technology thing. In fact, even before technology, I guess forms were always part of our lives. If you go to any office, any company, forms were unavoidable. And the only difference is that our forms here are a bit more interactive and dynamic. So it is good to learn about forms. So let's read the assignment. So we'll go to, let me close this one. We'll go to day 4, and then we'll create a file. Let's read the instructions first. So assignment 4 says create an HTML form, build a form. Okay, I think this should be just a full stop here. Build a form for a fictional event registration page. The form should include the following fields and features. So we have a section for personal information that will contain the name, email, phone number. Then we have another section for the event, and then the event date, event type, and attending with guests, and then the submit button. So then there are some requirements here to follow. So for now, let's just focus on the structure of the form. So I'll go ahead, create a page, and I'll call it event. So we go to here, and then we do new file. Then we do event, new text, not event, so event.html. So once we do that, we can open it with our favorite text editor, in my case, Sublime Text. Then I'll choose add from apps, and then double click. So I will insert my basic HTML, and then the title is going to be event registration. And here I would like to, yes, also have that event registration as a heading. So we'll use the heading group. Let me use, okay, we haven't gotten there. I was thinking of using the header tag actually, but we haven't gotten there. So let me use the heading. Yes, heading like this. And then paste the same title. So I'll separate it with HR to make it look nice. Then comes something very important. And I think I mentioned this thing through in the video, in the lesson, but I did not actually explain to you what it is used for and how to use this. This is the thing, field set. So I will use this opportunity and this assignment to show you how that is used. And it was one of the reasons why I actually mentioned these sections in the forms. So the field set element is an element that allows us to group. I think I mentioned that at least in the video, form controls. So let's say this is group 1, and then we put all the form controls in, and then we have another group like this, and then we put form controls in. So these names of the groups are actually called the legends of the field set. So we use the sub tag called legend. So we'll use that right now. So this is another legend. So this allows us to kind of organize the forms. And you might see that in most administrative documents where you have a box that contains a particular form and then another box that contains another section of the form. Even on some exam papers you see such things happen. So the field set and the element was actually brought in for that reason. And it was one of the main reasons why I actually added these things in the assignment. But nobody actually realized out of the codes I saw, nobody considered using the field set. And I understand it's normal because there was no hint to actually prompt you to think about it. So in this case, since we have an area, a section called personal information, so what we do is we insert a tag, field set tag. And then once you open the field set tag, you add the legend. That is like having the DT in the DL list. So we put the caption inside, and now everything else can go in for that area, the form. So I forgot something too. We start with the form tag and close it. So everything should be in the form tag. So I'm going to push that. Sorry. So once we have the legend added, we can now start adding our input elements. So the first control is the name. So it takes input for the particular the participant's full name. So this they didn't ask our first last name for the full name. So we can now label it by using the label tag. So also let me have them grouped in a div tag, a division tag, and then I will enter the label. I copied something else. So label, and that label will be name. So you can make it full name also. I'll add colon. And then the next thing I will do is to add the input. And then the type is going to be text. And the name, I'll keep it name. So here, even if we don't specify the type, by default, the input takes the type of text. So we could even ignore the type for this field. But just for clarity purposes, we can insist and bring it in. So the next field is the email field. So input for the participant's email. So you can go ahead and do div just to cover it around a div. And we'll now bring the label, which is a label for. So remember, we also learned that the labels can have a for attribute that will help them to be tied, or which will allow us to tie them to the input element. So I will tie it to the name element, and that will mean I will set a unique ID for the name input and tie that name to this name, and that's how we get them tied. So for the email, I will do the same thing. That's the email field, and then I'll set for, and therefore will be email as well. So it just means when I'm creating the input and I set the type as email, the name as email, and then I'll have to add the ID as email as well, so that the input field is tied to the label. So let me preview so far at this point. If I do open, and you can see what their field set does. You see it has created this element around the fields, And then if I click on any of the labels, it also takes me to the input that corresponds to it. So this is quite interesting, you know. So we are good. So let me zoom the screen a little bit for you to see. So good. So you can see. Great. So the next thing is what we have, the phone number. So that one too, we go ahead, we insert a div. So we do div, and then we bring a label for telephone. So telephone, or let's use number. And then the 4 too, I'll make it telephone. And then I forgot to use colon here because I did that for the name. So I'll do colon space. And then here I'll also say input. And the type is going to be tel because we are going to pick a telephone number. And then we set a name to telephone. So just like this. And then the ID as telephone as well because we are going to tie it to this label. So next is what? So we are done with this section like this. So the next section is the event details section. So that means we can go ahead right after the first field set. We do another field set. And then we also add a legend for it. And we paste this text inside. Also, I think since I did not talk much about that field set, although we could use, you see, the personal information, it looks plain and then kind of simple, duh. So we can actually style it the way we want. We can kind of nest some other tags inside. So in our case, for example, since I use heading 1 up here, I could decide to go ahead and use heading 3 for the legends. So 1, it is a legend, but it is inside the heading 3 tag. So that's 3 level lower than the main title itself. And also the text dogs, these legends don't go too far from the label sizes. So it keeps the labels kind of close to the size of that legend. So it doesn't go out of design. So cool. We have that. Now we can go ahead and enter the various event details. The first one is, let's see, the event date. So this means we are going to use a date field. So we are going to add a div, and then we are going to add a label, and the label is going to be the event date. So here for the 4, we'll say date. So I would like to avoid that because the date term, the keyword date, is also a keyword for HTML's date. It might cause a lot of confusion here. So I would rather name it event capital D date. So then the input, the type should be date. So for the date, most of you might have seen different forms of date, date time, date locals, and so on. So here we just write a date. We don't mind much, and the name is going to be event date, and the ID is going to be event date. Simple as that. So some people are trying to join on TikTok. By the way, this is actually streamed on TikTok. So for those who are trying to actually join the meeting on TikTok, I won't be able to do that now because of I don't know. I just want to focus on delivering the content. So we'll probably have another opportunity to talk much. So here we go, guys. Let's continue. And so we can refresh and see what we have with the date field so far. So it brings us the date. So I saw somebody actually using the date, yes, for the event date, and then went on to add another field for the time. I think that was smart. That was cool because after all, events always have a time. You know, you can't just say the date, and that's all. No, that there should be a date. So well done, man. Well done. So I can go ahead again, add some other thing that was requested. So the event type. So here is to make us now work with the select list. So it's cool. So here we'll add another div. So I think you are now getting the thing with the div thing. So we'll do label, and the label is going to be for event type. I will make it a for event type, like we did for the event date by prefixing with the event. And then we go ahead, and this is going to be a select. because we are going to suggest a list of things to select, and then the first option will be choose. I'll make it choose because I don't want it to pick any event type by default. So we say event, and this one we have what workshop and seminar conference. So workshop option, seminar, and then conference. So options, conference. So here we are. So the select also, we need to set the name to the same event type, and then the ID to event type, event type. Yes. So that will tie this to this. So in the case of the select, this tying doesn't really do much. Based on my experience, doesn't really. So yeah, that's what it does. I would have expected it to kind of open the menu, the list as soon as I click on the label, but it doesn't do that. It just does the same thing as it does with others. So that's what we call, it gives it a focus. So the focus goes to the control field. Okay, so once that's done, we can move on and check the next part, which is the attendee with guests. So attending with guests, so that's how many guests are you bringing along. So we'll enter another div, and this is to test our ability to insert number fields. So label for guests, and this also will have the for attribute, which is guest, and then we'll go ahead and insert the input, and this input type is going to be number. So the name is going to be guest, and the ID as well, guest. So by doing that, we should have our number for the guest, and you can see that we have the arrow of pushing the numbers here. So sometimes this field, you will surely meet it in many occasions. So it seems TikTok is verified if I'm not kind of hacking their system. So unable to verify, I don't know why. Oh, this is strange. Okay, verification complete. So okay, so in many occasions you see this field pop up. So for example, if you are having a shopping stuff, a shopping website, and people are coming to choose the number of items they are purchasing. So you can see you can't allow the person, for example, to choose -11. Even in this situation of the guests coming, you cannot actually come with -12, 10, 13 guests. Or the worst or the least is just 0. So there are these attributes we can set to actually limit that. We say minimum is going to be 0. So it means this field, the minimum content it can have is 0. So you see, it won't go beyond the 0 anymore. But if you go ahead, we can continue to count. So we can also set what we call the step. This is useful usually for the real estate companies, and I think hotels, bookings, something like that. So in which conditions we can be like, or airplane tickets, we can say that you cannot buy one ticket, for example. You can always buy 2, which is the in and out. So in that case, we can set the step, which is, if I go, you see, it goes 2, 2. You see, it goes 4, 4, and that's how it is. So you can set the step at which it will count for people to come in, to choose. So these are the things. But in our case, the step should be 1 because you can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guests. So this is a little bit about this field. So the next thing we have is the submit button. So in this case, our submit button should be outside the 2 field sets. So you can see the 2 field set here. So I'll come outside, but still in the form. make sure that the submit button doesn't go beyond the form like this. It won't work because the submit button has to be tied to the form itself. So it should always be inside the form element. So you do this submit, and that should be it. So with that, we have all the elements that were required from us to do this assignment. So visually, we have achieved what we wanted. So the assignment goes on and says we should do some validation. So the validation principle is a principle where you make sure that whatever is needed is filled in the form. So you don't allow people to give you something you don't expect, you don't want. Actually, you don't allow people to fill in any nonsense they want, or you don't allow them to submit empty forms so that you just be dealing with empty submissions. And you need to make sure that doesn't happen. So that process, this fight does is called validation. So we need to validate the form's content before it is submitted. So the first thing it says that required field. So use the required attribute. So there's an attribute called required. I think through the videos I used that attribute some kind of accidentally. Yes, and then we can use that to set some fields to be required. So looking at our form now, ourselves, we can judge and say, okay, at least the name must be filled, the email must be filled, because that's where we will be sending the ticket to the person, the ticket number. So it's very important. We also need the person's name number. So that must be also required. The event date is very important, although it's not important for the user because we have organized our event and they just choose. So we can assume this is not important because we can ignore this. So the event type too, since we are organizing 3 types of events, it's very important for the user to choose how many, which one of the events they are trying to attend. So this is important. So we can set required here, required here, required here, and then required here. The rest is not important. So we'll go into the form. We go to the name, which is the input field, and then right at the end here, we can add required. That's all you need to do. The email, we do the same thing, required. That's all. The telephone number too is required, so we go ahead, we do required. And then we said right here, we also have the event type, which is required, so we also add required. That's it. So by doing that, what it does is whenever you try to submit the form, you see, it will tell you, please fill this field. All the fields that are having required, if you don't fill it, it will bring that. So let me enter something here and to move to the next field, you see. And then you enter something, you see. This one, because we already set the type as an email, it not only checks if the field is filled, but it also checks if it respects the format of an email. So we can go ahead and add some format. Then we move on. Now it tells us the number 2 is required, and we go ahead, we type, I will enter some letters here, and then it allows us to go. But I was expecting it to reject the event type. Yes, because here you might think, wow, we didn't set the event type because it didn't tell us that we didn't fill that field. Yes, the thing is this: when you set options like this and you submit the form, the values you write here are the values that are set. So if you pick, for example, like this, when we submit the form, the seminar value will be sent. You see, the seminar value will be sent. The same thing if you pick this one, it will be sent. So the same thing, the HTML form actually is seen choose as another value. So there's no difference between them. So it assumes by default there's one value that is selected, which is not empty value. So to make sure that value is seen as empty, we need to set the attribute value and keep it empty. We could have done this same thing here by saying value, and then when we set the value, we just have to pick these same values in like this. I like this feature of Sublime, and we paste it there. So we set the values, but this is kind of redundant. We are just repeating ourselves. It's not necessary to do that. So that's why we can simply ignore, because it's exactly the same values we want. So the form will be able to pick it from here. But in this case, we really need to be specific to make sure that we are setting this to empty. And whenever you are trying to submit this with the value of choose, the value choose will not be sent, but the empty value, and the validation now will require it to be filled. So if you go back, we try. I'll fill any name, any email. So some Zuguri email. So something like this. Some foolish phone number as well, and then from there I will try to submit, and now you can see it's telling me that, oh, please select an item in the list. That's very important, because if you don't, it sees the choose as empty. There's nothing selected, so you need to fill that. So the guest, we don't need to force that. So if now I choose seminar and then submit, the form should be submitted. So, and like I said in the video, this is going to be submitted as a get using the HTTP get method. So by default, if you don't set how the form should send the values, so which is the method, it will use get by default. So we set it to be post also. So let's keep it to get. And action. So I didn't talk about the action field in the video, but it's very important because somebody actually asked me, okay, after we are done with the form, what else? How is the form going to send the data? How is the values going to be sent? So once you do that, nothing happens, but you need to process the form content using a different programming language, what we call the back-end programming languages, such as PHP, Python, Java, and so on. So, and since we are not there yet, we just assume we are done with this work. And in that case, if you have that background, back-end technology to handle the form, and you indicate the code that is in charge of handling that here. So in case of a PHP, you write, let's say, form.php. So you have a PHP file called form.php, which now will be called once the user clicks on the submit button, and that PHP file will have all the code required to check the form again and be sure that every single data we expect or we require, so in quote, do the same validation, and before it takes the data into consideration, and probably save it in the database or send an email and so on. So basically that's all. So for the encode type, we said we don't really need to indicate, especially if we don't have any file to attach, we don't have any problem with that. So basically that's it. And to see a bit what this does is, I'll keep this there and then try to submit the form again. So I'll come back on the form, then try to fill it, and then enter some email like this, then some number, choose any date, and then choose the seminar, enter 5 guests and submit. So you see it is calling the file.php. You see it is actually saying, oh, we are calling form.php, and then we are appending all the data to it. So we send it to you, do deal with that. So you see that's the idea there. So since we are not having that, so we have nothing to do, we can just ignore this for now. So at least you understand the point of this whole stuff. So the next validation, let's see if there's any other. So email validation, ensure the email input only accept valid emails. So we've done that since we set the type to email and so on. So the phone number validation, add pattern validation to the phone number field to ensure it follows a specific format. So this one, because I want you to explore something called the pattern in HTML, the pattern attribute. So we go back to the phone number here. So the pattern attribute actually uses what we call regis in most programming languages. You see regis. So the regis is kind of language which allows you to set rules, right? It sets rules on how something must be formatted, or yes, rules on how something must be structured. So in the case of a phone number, like we have an example here, which is the US format, which say the number should have bracket, and in a bracket we should have 3 numbers inside, then we have space, then we have 3 numbers, then we have dash, then we have 4 numbers. So you usually see that in numbers field, so that can happen. So HTML has that pattern, which allows you, this attribute pattern, which allows you to set the rules on how if an input field should receive data, what format should that data be when the people are filling it. That can be the first, one of the layers of validation, right? So it is possible. Yes, I wouldn't blame anybody because even myself, the regions is a challenge. So I have a regions written for that particular format here. This is how it goes. So we start with a backslash, which says, okay, the region starts here. And then the region should contain a bracket. That's the first area of the number or the pattern we have. And then inside that bracket, we want to get a digit. And that digit, the size should be in this square bracket, 3 digits. So we want 3 digits, that's the size. After this digit, we want another digit. So we go ahead backslash D, and then the size of that digit should be 4 elements. Now 3 elements, I think that's the format. So 3 elements. So next to that digit, we want to have a dash like this. And then after the dash, we want to also have another digit or another set of digits, and that one, the size should be 4. So this is basically the pattern that is required there. And after that, we are good to go. So if I go back to the form, try to reload, and now if I'm trying to fill the number and I do this, it should actually reject it. So let me see that if you get it right. So then phone and the email first of all, and this. So actually it didn't validate. I was expecting it to do that. So probably have some issue with the pattern. We said it is required. So backslash D. So okay, backslash bracket D, then this, and then I think there should be some, oh, good. Yes, there's a mistake here because I have this. So in fact, I should also have another backslash here, and then we go backslash again, D3. So please don't try to memorize that. If you can, good, but sincerely, rejections are difficult stuff. So we will refresh again. We type some Boolean here, me. So at tester, so, and then let me leave the field and see. Please fill this field, and it says, let me enter something. Okay, please match the format requested. Exactly. So it means obviously somewhere you could have given the format to your visitors so that they can follow the format. So that means we'll copy this format here like this. And then we'll go to the field, that's phone number here. And let's say here we'll add in bracket. And this is an opportunity for me to use a tag called small. This allows us to have a small text. So I'll close the bracket around after the small. So if I refresh, good. So I should have that. I think I copied the brackets twice. This one shouldn't be there. Let me remove even this example and remove this one. Good. So here we are. So we want a number which has a bracket. Yes. Then so we'll do bracket 1, 2, 3 bracket space something dash, so some 4 numbers. So if I enter the name now, and then the email me at tester, and I submit. Yeah, so that's cool. It is validated. So this is the first layer you can use to validate the forms already. So we choose this, and we do submit. Boom, the form is submitted. That's interesting. So, and that's it. So in the case of the action I was indicating here, in case you don't indicate the action and you submit the form, it actually submits the form to the exact page that has the form. So in our case, event.html. So that's what it does. So, and then that's it for this assignment. The next one, which is, I think, day 5 assignment. This one is a bit tough. So I don't know. I have a battery issue here. So I have to plug the phone. Great. So we can go ahead and try for the day 5 assignment. And this one is a bit tough. It will require a lot of work. So here it is. So assignment 5, to apply your knowledge of advanced HTML techniques, including the use of tables and the structural elements, to create a well-organized and semantically correct HTML document. So create an HTML table. So that's the first thing we need to do. So design an HTML table to display a list of books. The table should include columns for book title, author, genre, price, and then year of publication. So that's the first thing, the first part of the assignment. The assignment is in 3 parts. The part 2 is here, part 3 is here. So let's go ahead and start with the part 1. And what I'm going to do is to create different files for each one of these parts. So I'll create file 1, let's say table.html, and then part 2 for so I should probably name them 1.html, 2.html. So let me close this one. And then we move into our folders. We'll go back to day 5. And then we'll create a folder. I'll create a subfolder which is going to be assignments. Let me make it capital, assignment. So inside that assignment, I'm going to create a new file, and I'm going to name that file 1.html. Yes. So this file will just contain the first part of the assignment, and then I'll open it with my text editor again. So we'll go to Sublime. So once we do that, we bring in the HTML tag, and then we are going to create books as the title. And then in our body tag, we are going to bring in a table. So that's what it says. You should create a table, and it should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns. So the first thing we do is to insert the table tag, and then this table tag will set the border to 1 by default. And then the width, I will set some width for the table. It should occupy 50% of my screen, and then I will try to align it at the center. So then once I'm done with that, the first thing I'm going to do is to insert the row with TR. And once I insert the row with TR, remember, I can now break it. And based on what it says here, it says include columns for. So columns for, that's actually the headings. So these are the headings of the first row. So that's the, so we go ahead, we insert THs. So we do TH, and then the first one is going to be the title of the book. So we write title. You don't need to add book title. After all, we are talking about books. So let me even insert some heading 1. Heading 1, and then I'll be a bookshop. So something like this, and then I will also bring a horizontal line like this. So once we have that, we can continue with our THs. And the next one is author and genre. So we have author, TH, genre, and the next one is price and published. So TH, price, then TH again, and published. So I'll just use published as the date it was published. So that's the first row. If I go and preview this by double clicking, I should have my table centered, and then all the columns headers are set. So the assignment says we should publish the table with some content. So the first row of the table should be the header row, including appropriate column heading. So it should be the header row. That means it requires us to put this row into the table head. So we have to do t head like this and put it inside. So we are setting this row as the table header, and we use the THs to actually emphasize on the column names. So populate the table with at least 5 entries. That's some books. Oh God. So let me, I don't know books. So obviously here we'll also have to come and probably use T-body. But for now, let me go ahead and let's just do some TR. And remember, the number of columns you have here in the first TR should be the same number of columns in the second TR, and unless you do some merging of cells. So here I have to convert all this into TDs instead of TH. So this is going to be TD. So the books, I'm going to say book 1. I'm going to keep it simple. The author is me, Zubuli, and the genre is computer science, like this, and then the price is let's say $12.99 USD, and then the publication date is something 1999. So and they say we should do that 5 times, so I'm just going to copy this 5 times. I don't want to actually spend time on the books names, so sorry, I'll refresh this guy. All right, so I have 1 2 3 4 5. It's like I did it in 6, so 5, yes. So here I can change this into 5, and this one into 4, this one into 3, this one into 2, and the first one. So at least there's a change in the book name. Good. So we have up to 5 books, and the next part of the assignment says and include table sections. So that's use T head, T body, T foot to organize the table into sections. Add a footer row to display the total number of books listed in the table. So basically, we continue this work where we have all this content here. So it should be in the T body. So T body. So we cut that out here, and we take it right after the last TR. Good. So this covers the whole table body. So let me check the format one. So good. So let me indent it inside the T body like this. So I can easily fold all. So then we'll see the whole thing. So we have the T head, T body, and then we need a T foot. And this is something that used to trick me. It is T foot, not T footer. It's T body, it's T head, it's not T header, it's T body. So you really have to pay attention to that. And the T foot, since we are going to require the same number of rows and columns, the same number of columns inside. So we just bring this, and they say that T foot should display the total number of books listed in the table. So that's the total number of books. So where are we going to put that? I guess we should kind of total. So we are going to make it 1 here. We'll make it like 5, and then we'll cancel all this. We'll merge all these rows. These columns, we'll merge these columns up to the price. The price, yes. We'll keep the price column, and then we'll write the total of the price, something like that. So this is what I'm going to do. This one is going to be 5 books because we are all having 5 books here. So that's the total 5. And then for the name and author, we don't need that. So we'll do that's course span of 2, I guess. Course span of this and this. So course span of 2, and then we get rid of this one because we just merged it with the other column. Good. So we have it merged, and we don't want to have anything inside. It's going to be empty space. Good. So for the price, we need the total. So we keep the total to, let's say, let me just write some crazy number like this. Good. So we have that. So for the date of publication, there's no need to have anything. We could also continue by doing the call merge here, like the call span here, and then getting rid of this and just making sure everything is aligned well. So this can do. There's no much to do when it comes to the tables total stuff here. We don't have much totals to display here, so this is good. Okay, so the next thing we have in the assignment is what? So let's read that. It says create a structural web page. So design a simple web page using HTML5 structural elements, including the following sections: the header, the main, Okay, combine a section for about us with a brief description and then an article detailing the history of the website. An aside featuring the sidebar with the recent update on or announcement, and footer include contact information and copyright details. Now it says combine the table and the structure website into a single HTML document. So this is one of the reasons why I named our first file one. So I'm going to create the two, which is going to contain this guy. So I thought this was going to be something different, so I just combined the two with the one. So we can jump to and go ahead and do three rather. So let's create a file. We'll name it 3.html. So go ahead, new text. So 3.html. So we open it with our text editor again. So open with favorite text editor. Is going to be Sublime. So here we bring in our HTML skeleton, and we are going to say HTML structural tags. So here you can bring the same title as a heading, just to illustrate it. So heading 1, do that, then HR, do that. Good. So once we are done with that, we can look at the assignment again and read very well. So design a simple web page using HTML5 structural elements. So include the following sections. So the header section, we need the header section. So we need a header tag. So the first thing we are going to do is to have the header tag. So what should we put in the header tag? Okay, with the title and navigation menu containing links to home, about, and then contact. So with the title, and then navigation menu containing this. So we need a navigation menu. So the title, I think this title I had here, I will have to bring it in here. So I'll move all these elements here inside the head, and they say we need the navigation. So it means we have to use nav, and then in the nav we use UL for the unordered list, and we'll insert LI. And then inside each one of the LI, I'll use the A tag, which is the anchor. And this A tag does not go anywhere, but the content is going to be home. So that's the first menu. So it says home. And the second one is going to be about us. And the third one is going to be contact us, or contact simply. So it was about, not about us. So about and contact. So basically that's what this head part is all about. So if I refresh my screen, is blinking. Oh, we should be in 3. So let me open it differently. Double click. So this is the head I get. So let me also zoom that. Sorry. So this is the head we get, and that's what basically it is asking us to do. The HR, the line here, I decided to insert it, but what they wanted us to have is the heading, and then the navigation menu here. So that should be it. So the next part says what? Okay, so just waiting for this screen. Okay, so the next part says main. So containing a section for. So we'll insert a main section. So that's cool. We'll go ahead. So that's after the header. So we can now bring the main area. So mains area of the website. So we name it main. And they say the main should contain a section for about with a brief description and then an article. So we have two sections. We need two elements inside that main. The first element is the section. So we'll insert a section, and that section should be about us. So it should be about us. It means I might need to give it a heading. So let me give it a heading of H3, and then I will say about. and then the paragraph to say a little bit about us. I will generate some random text that's going to be, let me make it short. So this is a random text, and then I'll just repeat this paragraph maybe twice, and here reduce the text a little bit so it's not too cumbersome, because I want you to still see the code very well. So in the main tag we just inserted, we now insert one sub tag, which is the section, and for that, after that, they say so we add a brief description, and then we should create an article as well. So we need to insert an article tag right after the section tag. So we add article. So in the article, it's going to also be, let's say, heading 2, and then will be, it says that it should be about our history. So the history of the website. So we can say history of the website. So use capital H here. So history of the website. We can also bring in some text. So I guess let me even remove this paragraph from here. So it's too short, and then I get a longer paragraph here. So once we have that, and it says we should also have an aside feature featuring, right? An aside featuring so an aside featuring so here there's a little confusion and whether you should be putting this aside inside the article or so, but what you should know here is that this, okay, yes. So it looks like it should be right after the main article. It's normal, so it should go beyond the main, and you can see it goes after right after that we have the footer. So you can see the structure. We have aside, and then in this aside we should kind of featuring a sidebar with a recent update and so on. So we can just say announcement. So let me reuse that. So we'll put some heading 3 there and say announcement. So that's what that will have. And so since it is an announcement, we are going to have an ordered list, which will have announcement 1. So we are going to do first announcement, yes, first announcement, and second announcement, and so and third announcement, and so on. So as the time goes, the announcement will increase. So right after the aside, let's say we should bring in the footer. So we do footer tag, and then that footer tag should contain contact information and then copyright information. So for the contact information, I'm going to put it in a paragraph, and I think it would have been great if we use an address tag. So this is an opportunity for you to see that, and the address tag should contain a paragraph, which is, let's say, ABC company, and then the street and so on. So you can go ahead and add more of that. Let's say 1, 2, 3 Joe whatever boulevard, and so on. So we have the address, then right under it we can now add a paragraph to add the copyright. So copyright ampersand copy semicolon, that's the copyright sign, the C in the circle, and then we are going to write 2024 dash all rights reserved. So here we go. So if we look at this document structure now carefully, we can see this. So let's separate it a little bit. So we see there's a header that contains anything heading information. There's a main section that contains the body of the site, and then we have an aside, and then right after that we have a footer. So for somebody who does not even see the website and just sees the source code, can already have an idea that this actually is supposed to contain some titles and so on related to the content. And this is basically the main area of the project or the document. Okay, there's some side note here, and now the end of the document. So this meaningful code, a code that already communicates on what it does and what it is what we call semantic HTML. That's what we are all about. That's what this exercise is all about. To help you have clean code, it's not only communicating with other developers, but it's also communicating with search engines. So it helps search engines to be able to locate valuable and important areas on your content, and therefore being able to index them appropriately and allow people to find your business. So if you refresh, we should now see a well-structured website. If you push this website online, search engines will come and devour it. They will love it because it is so clean and it actually says what it does at a particular at every single part of it. So that's the beauty of having structured HTML documents. So you can see that what we have here, that's so clean, right? Wonderful. So let's continue. Check the assignment again and see in 4. So we say write a short HTML document. That's number 4. Combine the table and the structured website web page into a single HTML document. Combine the table and the structured web page into a single HTML document. Ensure that the table is included within the main section of your web page. Use semantic HTML 5 elements appropriately to enhance the organization and accessibility of the content. Okay, so I think we can just not care much about this area, but here it is very important. So let's create a 4th file. So this is going to be number 4. So we'll do new, then 4.html. So I didn't change. Let me do that again. 4.html. Good. So now we can open it and then open with our text editor. So it says we should combine this and the first table. So I'll just copy the same code from here. So I copied the code from the file 3 and then brought it in file 4. Since it is this one we want to combine with the table, so we are going to pick the table from here. So let's say we should pick the table, combine it with this document which has the structured tags, and then we should have the table inside the main tag. So here we can see that we have a heading, we have article with the history. By the way, when you look at the preview here, we can see that the heading, because I use heading 2 here, it looks bigger than the one as around it. So I think it would have been best to have heading 2 here and then use heading 3 for the rest. So I'm going to shift that quickly here. So we have heading 1 for the structure, and here I'll use heading 2. So this is going to be 2, and this guy will change into 3 so that it goes smaller. So we have it from the highest to the lowest possible. And then inside this main, we already have 2 areas, which is the section which contains the about, and then the articles, which contains some articles, an article about our history. So under, maybe this could be our publication. So this is where we bring the table. So I can decide to insert another section and so, but it's fine. I will just put in the table here. So I'll copy the table, the entire table, and paste it here. So we could term it maybe our publications by using another H3, publications, just like this. So by doing that, okay, now I will have to open this file differently. So we'll do open with the browser. So once we open, we have the file inserted. So because we align the table at the center, so you can see it jumps there. So this is the time to go and eliminate the alignment of the table here. So we'll remove that here, and we refresh on the browser, so the table will go at the left side. So let me zoom the page for you to see a bit. Right, so that's wonderful. You see, this is a very nice structured HTML document. The navigation, the about, the history, the publication, you see various parts are visible. And you can notice here that there's no visual representation of all these tags we just used right now. It is just meaningful. It's just meaningful for you as a developer, and it's very meaningful for the search engines. So basically that's it. So the next part, I ask you to validate, and I have to apologize for that. You can still validate once you get the file online or hosted somewhere. So basically the accessibility is we adding some other tags, attributes, and making sure that we indicate every single part, let's say the language and so on. So but we won't stress ourselves on that for now. And if you are able to get something similar to this, you are good. So even after watching this video, you should go back and try to do this on your own, because in reality that's what you'll be doing every day. This might sound like wow, that's a lot to organize, that's a lot of code, I'll be lost. Wow, that's exactly what you'll be doing in real life. You'll always be lost in the source codes. The source codes can go as tall as possible, and it can be really cumbersome. There's a lot to organize, so you need to start getting used to that by starting with exercises like this. Try to go through this exercise. If you are able to master this exercise, know every single area of this exercise, trust me, you are ready to build any serious website from there. So this brings us to the end of this exercise. I was talking about the validation. So the worldwide consortium has this validator. So you can see here it's requiring us to enter the address, so which you don't have because your project is not hosted online yet, and that will be a bit difficult. So I don't know if they have an option for you to just paste the code, validate by file upload. Oh, there is enough. Oh, boom. So let me upload the file. Let me do that. So we'll go to, I think we are in assignment, which is here. So the file is 4. Okay, so let me keep everything by default and check. Okay, so great, and you can see how the validation works. So it will tell you some of the things you need to do to still be compliant to HTML standard. So it says, warning, consider adding the lang attribute to the HTML tag. So let's do that. We are on here, HTML lang. So we are using English, so we go ahead in, and then the error here, it says the width attribute on the table element is obsolete. Wow. So use CSS, guys. So that's the next course we are going to have on CSS. You can see that's very interesting. So we have the table somewhere here in the main, and where we set the width to no, because the weight actually is what we call a visual representation. So it is a visual aspect of it, and we are trying to delegate anything visual, design related stuff to CSS, and leave HTML to focus only on the structure of our HTML document or web document. So that is very important. It's normal that at this point it actually gets duplicated, that we set the weight on the tables. So the next one says the border attribute on the table element is completely obsolete now. So forget it. Use CSS to do that, of course. Wonderful. This is great, right? At least we learn by doing. You know that if we did not do that, you never know. So let's go ahead and upload again. I guess they should give me an option of doing it again. So let me go back anyway. Reload, upload the file. Number 4, check. Document checking completed, no error or warning to be seen, guys. So you made it. We made it, guys. So congratulations. On this note, the worldwide consortium welcomes you in the midst of all the HTML developers in the world. Thank you so much for watching this. Do not forget to like, subscribe, join us in our various social media handles, and then let's continue rocking up. Thank you. Bye bye.